welcome back everyone to another episode of the Nutrition, Health, Performance podcast. It's me, Jamie Pugh. I'm really lucky, delighted today to have mentor, boss, Professor Graeme Close. Graeme, you can introduce yourself in a second because I will surely miss out some of the that you have worked with. But for those of you who don't know, Graeme is a professor in human physiology, exercise metabolism in Liverpool John Moores University. So that's where I completed my PhD, and now where I'm carrying on with some of my research. Just thinking about it now, the recent paper you put out, the paper to podium paper, which I think is a great read. I'll put a link to it at the bottom of the show notes for this episode. I think really goes into that and sort of say that you need to maybe potentially be a researcher as well as a private practitioner to sort of, or at least sit somewhere if you want to make meaningful change within a club or for an athlete. But off the back of that, the first thing, I think for a lot of people who maybe listen to this, that then says that, do you have to go down the university route? So do you think then it could be possible for somebody to be a high-end sports nutritionist working for an elite team without that avenue, without that route?
Personally, no. No, obviously, there's going to be some people who think that's a bias, being that I'm a university professor and I want people to come and study with us. But I make no apology that if you've not got a fundamental understanding of metabolism, it's very, very hard then to actually cipher through some of the misinformation out there and even then try and answer some questions. So, you know, a pertinent example is everyone these days talking about a ketogenic diet. But I wonder how many people really understand ketone metabolism. And when they may say they do understand it, how many of them have got a critical understanding of it? So what they might do is read somebody's blog post on it and see where they've come at it from a very one-sided opinion.
Yeah.
But if they've been through fundamental metabolism training, I'd like to think they've got the ability to then critically evaluate the literature. Another example is, maybe not going as far as ketogenic, but this big argument about, you know, should you be on a low carb or a high carb diet? And these days, it seems that you've got to jump into one of two camps. It's almost like you've got to be a Labour or a Conservative. And even though you might not fully agree with all Labour's policies, you can't support anything that a Tory says because I'm a Labour member. And this is what's happened with a low carb versus low fat debate. But people have jumped into a camp and they're not allowed to actually give a more balanced opinion. If you've got a good understanding of exercise metabolism, I would like to think that where you would have come to is that there's benefits of some days being low carbohydrate and there's certainly benefits of some days of being high carbohydrate. And that's because we can understand the metabolism of what's going on. We understand that if you're chronically low carbohydrate, what's going to happen to, for example, PDH, pyruvate dehydrogenase. So you're going to impair the ability for glycolytic flux. And if you impair that ability, you're not going to have that ability to put the sprints in at the end of a performance. But likewise, you might understand the benefits of having some reduced sessions with carbohydrate because the effect that might have on mitochondrial biogenesis or even substrate utilization. Now, to expect somebody to get to that level of understanding without coming through a formal university pathway, I think it's very difficult. And we can argue, you know, this a lot, but for me, this is like saying, does a doctor need to have been through university, or do they just need to have read a few things on Google? And I don't think anyone would argue that. And I'm not trying to compare the sport nutrition industry to medicine, but what I am saying is that you need that fundamental academic underpinning to allow you then to really give solid advice.
No, like you said, it's a science at the end of the day, isn't it? Like you said, and I think one of the words you kept saying then was critical appraisal, critical thinking. And like you said, with Google or PubMed, anyone now can at least get the abstract of a research paper. But you could so easily then just go on a tangent, down a certain pathway, believing that one thing is right. Because